I want you to picture a book. It's probably sitting on a dusty shelf in your childhood bedroom right now.
Or maybe in a box in the attic.
Yeah. Thin hardcover, usually white or blue. And on the cover, there's this watercolor drawing of a little boy with messy blonde hair standing on a tiny asteroid.
Wearing that long, flowing yellow scarf.
That's the one?
The boy, the fox, the single rose. It's an image that's just, burnt into the collective consciousness.
It really is. We were talking, of course, about The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And I think for most of us, myself included, the memory of this book is, well, it's a cute fairy tale.
Something you read when you're 7.
Exactly. But I picked it up again this week to prep for this deep dive. And I have to be honest, I was totally unprepared for what I found inside.
It's a bit of a shock, isn't it, when you revisit it as an adult?
Shock is an understatement. I went in expecting a bedtime story, and I came out having an existential crisis about my career, my relationships, my mortality. I mean, it feels deceptive.
That is the perfect word for it. Deceptive. It disguises itself as a children's book with those charming, naive illustrations, but it is actually a devastatingly profound philosophical treatise.
It forces you to look in the mirror and ask,
Yeah.
at what point did I stop living and just start functioning?
That's the question.
And that is the question we are going to try to answer today.
Right.
We're going to unpack the story, the symbols, the whole philosophy of The Little Prince. But before we get to the boy on the asteroid, we have to talk about the guy who wrote it.
Saint-Exupéry. Because the more I read about him, the more it seemed like you just can't separate the book from his life.
You really can't. To understand the book, you have to remember he wasn't just a writer sitting in some Parisian cafe. He was a pioneer of aviation.
Right.
He flew the mail routes over the Sahara and the Andes in the 1920s. I mean, these were dangerous, flimsy machines, open cockpits, flying at night with no GPS.
So when he writes about a pilot crashing in the desert, he's not just making it up. No, he's pulling from trauma. In 1935, he actually crashed in the Libyan desert. He and his navigator were stranded for days. They had no water. They were hallucinating, seeing mirages.
Wow.
They were essentially dying until a Bedouin on a camel found them. So the opening of the book, where the narrator says, "I had scarcely enough drinking water for a week," that's memoir disguised as fiction.
That context just changes everything. It adds this layer of grit to all the whimsy, and there's another layer to his life story that is even spookier, which I know we're going to get to later. But let's jump into the book itself. It starts with a dedication that I think sets the whole mission for this deep dive.
Yes, the dedication to Leon Worth. It's fascinating. He dedicates the book to his best friend, who's a grown-up.
And then he immediately regrets it.
He does. He realizes children might not like that. So he corrects himself, he writes, to Leon Worth when he was a little boy.
When he was a little boy.
He's telling us right from the jump, we are trying to recover the child that has been buried inside the adult. That is the project of this book.
And he starts that project with a test. The narrator tells us about his childhood art career. He draws this picture drawing number 1.
And to him, it's a masterpiece of terror. He shows it to the adults and asks, "Does this frighten you?"
And the adults, looking at it with their, practical eyes, just say,
"Why should anyone be frightened by a hat?"
because it looks like a brown slouch hat. But it's not a hat, is it?
No, it's a boa constrictor digesting an elephant. But the grown-ups can't see the elephant because it's inside the snake.
So the kid, who's frustrated that adults are so dense, draws drawing number 2. He literally draws the cross-section, the inside of the snakes, just so they can understand.
He makes it totally explicit, and their reaction is the tragedy that starts the whole story. They don't say, "Wow, what an imagination."
No. They tell him to put away his drawings, devote himself to geography, history, arithmetic, focus on matters of consequence.
It's the moment the inner child is silenced. The narrator says he lived his life alone without anyone he could really talk to until his plane crashed in the Sahara.
So here he is, 1,000 miles from anywhere. He's trying to fix his engine before he dies of thirst. And at sunrise, a funny little voice wakes him up.
And the voice says, "If you please draw me a sheep."
It's so absurd. You're dying, and this little alien prince appears and wants art. So he tries to brush him off. He says, "I don't know how to draw."
And then he just draws the only thing he knows, drawing number 1, the boa constrictor.
And this is the moment of connection. The prince looks at this drawing, which every adult has called a hat, and he screams, "No, I do not want an elephant inside a boa constrictor."
Where I live, everything is very small.
That has to be the moment the pilot falls in love with them, right? Finally, someone who sees.
Someone who sees past the surface. But the sheep request proves difficult. The pilot draws a sheep. The prince says it's too sickly. He draws another.
That's a ram. It has horns. The kid is a harsh critic.
He is. So the pilot, losing patience, just draws a box, a crate with 3 holes in it. And he says, the sheep you want is inside.
And the prince's face just lights up.
He looks at the box and says, that is exactly the way I wanted it. This is the key. The adult world needs to see the sheep. But the world of the child, of imagination, relies on what is invisible.
That's such a powerful distinction. So we learn he comes from asteroid B612, which sounds scientific, but there's a funny backstory there.
Oh, it's a brilliant jab at academia. The asteroid was discovered by a Turkish astronomer. But when he presented his discovery, nobody believed him.
Why not?
Because he was wearing traditional Turkish clothes. So, years later, a dictator makes everyone dress like Europeans. The astronomer goes back, gives the exact same presentation in a suit and tie.
And suddenly everyone believes him.
Exactly. It's a jab at how grown-ups judge truth based on the packaging, not the reality.
But we trust the suit, not the man. Now, life on this asteroid is precarious, it's tiny, and it has a serious gardening problem. The baobabs.
The baobabs are a fascinating metaphor. On Earth, they're just big trees. But on a tiny planet, a baobab is a catastrophe. The roots will just split the planet into pieces.
So the prince has this strict morning ritual.
He calls it a question of discipline. After you wash and dress yourself, you must attend to the morning routine of your planet. You have to pull up the baobabs while they're still small.
I always read that as a metaphor for, bad habits. If you don't address a small resentment or a lie early on, it just grows and destroys your whole life.
That's the personal reading, and it's valid. But you have to look at the historical context. This was written in New York in 1942. Saint-Exupéry was in exile watching his country fall to the Nazis.
So the baobabs are fascism.
Many scholars argue that, yes, they are the bad seeds. If you don't weed out those ideas when they're small, by the time you realize how dangerous they are, it's too late. They've torn the world apart.
That makes the morning routine sound much more serious. It's about vigilance. But the prince didn't leave because of the weeds. He left because of a flower.
The rose. This is the emotional core of the book. A mysterious seed lands on his planet, and she takes forever to get ready. She wants to appear in the full radiance of her beauty.
And when she finally blooms, she is a handful.
She is a total diva. She claims she's afraid of drafts. She demands a screen, a glass globe at night. She's vain. She's coquettish.
Manipulative, too. Pretending to cock just to make him feel guilty.
She is. But the prince, being young, doesn't know how to handle it. He takes her literally. He tells the pilot, I ought to have judged by deeds and not by words.
What does he mean by that?
He means he focused on her complaints and missed the point. He missed what she did. She perfumed his planet. She brought beauty to his life. She clearly loved him, but she was too proud to say it simply.
And he was too young to see past her poor little stratagems.
Yeah.
That hits hard. So he runs away. He catches a migration of wild birds and starts hopping asteroids. And this section of the book is like a roast of every serious adult.
It's a tour of human folly. Each planet has a single grown-up archetype.
Let's run through a few. First, the king.
The king claims to rule the entire universe, but he has no subjects. He just gives reasonable orders. He can order the sun to set, but only when it's already time for the sun to set.
So authority is just an illusion of control.
Pretty much. Then you have the conceited man. He only hears praise. He thinks everyone is an admirer.
Even though he's the only one on the planet.
This doesn't matter to the ego.
The one that really got me was the businessman. This guy is so busy he doesn't even look up. He's just counting. 3 and 2 make 5.
He's counting the stars. He thinks if he counts them and locks the number in a drawer, he owns them.
And the prince just delivers this devastating takedown. He says, I own a flower and I water her. I own 3 volcanoes and I clean them. I am of use to my volcanoes and my flower, but you are of no use to the stars.
That line is so crucial. Ownership isn't about possession. It's about stewardship.
But there is one adult the prince actually respects. The lamplighter.
Right. The lamplighter lives on a planet that turns once a minute. His orders are to light the lamp at sunset and put it out at sunrise, so he gets no rest.
It sounds like hell. But the prince says he's the only one who isn't ridiculous. Why?
Because he's thinking of something other than himself. He has a duty. He's creating light. It's a beautiful occupation because it's useful to others.
Finally, he meets the geographer, the guy with the massive books who never leaves his desk. But he drops a bomb on the prince. He refuses to record the prince's rose in his book.
Because she is ephemeral.
Ephemeral.
And the geographer explains it means threatened by speedy disappearance. That's the moment the prince realizes his rose is mortal. He left her all alone, and she's going to die. That regret is what pushes him to Earth.
And when he gets here, it's not what he expects. He lands in the desert. The first thing he meets is a golden snake.
A very heavy symbol. The snake speaks in riddles. Whomever I touch, I send back to the earth from whence he came.
He's offering death.
A release from the physical body, yeah.
Yeah.
But he spares the prince for now.
The prince keeps walking and eventually finds a garden. And this scene breaks my heart every time. It's a garden full of roses. 5,000 of them.
Imagine that shock. His rose told him she was the only one of her kind in the whole universe.
And here are 5,000, all looking exactly like her. He thinks, I'm not a great prince at all. I just have a common rose. He lies down in the grass and cries.
And this is the crisis of value. If something isn't rare, is it still valuable? To answer that, we meet the fox.
The fox! But the fox won't play with him. He says, I am not tamed. And the prince asks, what does that mean, tame?
And the fox gives the definition of love. He says tame means to establish ties.
To establish ties.
Right now, the fox explains the priest is just a boy like 100,000 other boys. They don't need each other. But if the prince tames him, they will need each other. They will be unique in all the world.
But it's a process. You have to be patient. You sit a little closer every day, and you need rites.
Rituals. Like if the prince comes at 4 o'clock, the fox will start to be happy at 3. It's about anticipation, preparing the heart.
But here's the thing that always bothered me. The prince has to leave. He asks the fox, what good did this do you? You're going to cry.
And the fox says, it has done me good because of the color of the wheat.
The color of the...
Before, the wheat fields meant nothing to him. He doesn't eat bread. But the prince has golden hair. So now, the wheat will remind him of the prince. He loved the sound of the wind in the wheat.
So the pain of loss is the price you pay for the world having meaning.
Exactly. Without the ties, the world is empty. And the fox sends the prince back to the rose garden. This time, the prince sees the truth. He tells those 5,000 roses, you are beautiful, but you are empty. One could not die for you.
He realizes his rose is unique not because of biology, but because of their shared history.
Because he watered her. Because he listened to her. Because she is his. And then the fox shares the secret, the line that sums up the whole philosophy.
It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye.
It circles right back to the box with the sheep inside. The important thing isn't the object. It's the love you've poured into it.
And the fox adds a burden to it. He says, you become responsible forever for what you have tamed.
And that responsibility weighs on him. He knows he has to go back, but before he goes, he meets the railway switchman.
Oh, right. He watches these trains roaring past and he asks, what are they looking for?
And the switchman says, no one knows. The people are asleep or yawning. Only the children are pressing their noses against the glass.
And the prince says, only the children know what they're looking for. It's this idea that adults are always rushing but not actually going anywhere meaningful.
And then immediately after, he meets the merchant who sells pills that quench thirst. So you can save 53 minutes a week.
And the prince thinks, if I had 53 minutes to spend, I would walk very slowly toward a fountain. He rejects efficiency for experience.
Which brings us to the end. The pilot and the prince find a well. But the prince is scared. It's the 1-year anniversary of his arrival on Earth. His star is directly overhead.
And the pilot sees him talking to the yellow snake again. The prince is asking, you have good poison. You are sure it will not make me suffer too long.
It's so frightening. The pilot rushes over, but the prince is resolute. He explains he's going home, but it's too far. He can't take his body. It's too heavy.
He calls his body an old, abandoned shell. He says, there is nothing sad about old shells. He's trying to comfort the pilot.
He gives the pilot a parting gift. He says that because he lives on one of the stars and because he'll be laughing, when the pilot looks up at the sky, it will sound like all the stars are laughing.
500 million little bells.
It's a heartbreaking goodbye. The prince falls gently as a tree falls. There was not even any sound. And the next day, the pilot couldn't find the body. It had disappeared.
Which brings us back to the reality of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. The pilot in the book escapes. He fixes his engine. But the real author...
July 31st, 1944, a year after the book is published, Saint-Exupéry takes off in that P-38 Lightning on a mission over the Mediterranean, and he never returns.
For 60 years, nobody knew what happened.
Until 2004. A diver found the wreckage off the coast of Marseille. They identified it by the serial number, but and this is the part that gives me chills, they never found a body.
Just like the prince. He left his machine behind and vanished.
It's almost like he scripted his own exit. He left us the story, but dissolved into the myth. The body is just a shell, the essential part, the spirit, the ideas, that remains invisible.
But the book doesn't end with a period. It ends with a question mark. The pilot says he forgot something crucial.
The muzzle. He drew the muzzle for the sheep, but he forgot to draw the leather strap. It can't be fastened on.
So the pilot is tortured by this. He wonders, has the sheep eaten the flower?
And he ends the book with a challenge to all of us. He says, look up at the sky. Ask yourselves, is it yes or no? Has the sheep eaten the flower? And he claims that everything in the universe changes based on that answer.
It's amazing because, logically, it changes nothing. The stars are the same. But for us, for the tamed reader, the feeling of the universe shifts entirely.
And that is the final jab at the grown-ups. Saint-Exupéry writes, and no grown-up will ever understand that this is a matter of so much importance.
So that's our challenge to you tonight. Step outside, look up, find a star, and ask yourself, has the sheep eaten the flower? And if you feel a little tug in your chest, congratulations. You haven't completely turned into a grown-up yet.
Keep looking with the heart.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.